Welcome into episode 22 of JD's Empire Sports Talk. Of course, host JD here once again. Today we'll be talking about the Knicks, Rangers, and St. John. So all the teams that play at Madison Square Garden usually. We haven't talked about them in a few weeks because both the Knicks and the Rangers were on breaks. The Knicks were on the All-Star break and the Rangers were on a unique Four Nations break, which was outstanding to watch. But we'll get into that in a little bit. And of course, St. John's, who's killing it right now. But I felt last week would have been repetitive just to talk about them once again. But they are just playing outstanding basketball. And we'll start with the Knicks, though. But before that, is kind of we want to do the layout of what's going to come soon. I know the combine is happening this weekend, starting. I mean, it's going to be 4 days, so it'll be a lot of content to look out for. Because me and Ryan, Jet Specialist Ryan, will be back next week to recap the guys that he said to look out for, and also guys that maybe have caught his eye and things that the thinks that he that they those guys should be uh, people for the Jets. So we'll see what happens with that. A combine's a very important time for all these NFL prospects. You never know. Maybe draft trades can happen in the combine. A lot will happen when all these teams beat with each other. A trade, you never know. Things happen before free agency. It's not the furthest thing from happening. We've seen. I know for the Jets that Sam Darnold trade. Well, the pick to get Sam Darnold to trade up for that was uh, happening in February. So it could easily something easily could happen, and we'll be all on that. Maybe we'll do a bullpen review. Not quite sure yet. Depends on if I have a game or not. So I would love to do that. But last week, circumstances wouldn't allow us to because we didn't have the bullpen on our side of the field. It would have been a whole little bit of a hassle. We had to share and all that. So I apologize, but that wouldn't have worked out. So hopefully this week, if not this week, we'll do it next week during spring break. So that'll be fun. But we'll see what happens. But all right, let's start episode 22 here with the Knicks. 38 and 20, still third in the Eastern Conference. I mean, I think I've been saying that for the past 2.5 months. They're kind of just, they're getting through the rest of the regular season, trying to stay healthy. I know OG Anunoby was out last time we spoke, but he is back now. Not really looking that great, but he is back, so hopefully he can regain his form before he was injured because he was playing really, really good for this team. Josh Hart was injured a little bit, had a little bit of a knee issue, but he's back as well. And of course, Brunson doing his thing. Cat and Mitch Rob. I had that as like the last thing, but I think we could start with that. Carl Anthony Towns and Mitchell Robinson both should be back soon, hopefully within this weekend coming up, if not next week. I think Cat will be back before Mitch Rob just because Mitch Rob is still trying to get through all the hurdles that he needs to do to play. So that's a big thing to watch out for. Cat, I think he had a little bit of a knee issue. He kind of tweaked it against the Celtics this past Sunday. I don't think it's anything serious. I think they just wanted to give him a few extra days off. And they're going to need him because this weekend Grizzlies and the Heat, two tough teams. I know the Heat's record's not really great this year, but they can still play, and the Grizzlies' record is really, really good. So that's a team that they have to be ready for. And I wanted to ask this question because it's something I've been thinking about as a Knicks fan, and I know I've been hearing a lot about starting five. So Thibodeau, during his press conference earlier in the week, he talked about Mitchell Robinson coming back, and he was saying Mitch Rob's a starting center in this league, and we haven't had our starting center for almost 60 games now. So that was something I think that caught people's eyes because everyone assumed, and I honestly I assumed it myself that Mitch Rob would be coming off the bench as soon as he comes back, just because of what the starting five has done this year, and they're like top three in the entire league in starting five, just like minutes played together and just production wise. But if he's throwing that out there, honestly, I would not be opposed to having Mitch Robin in the starting lineup as your five, as the normal traditional center, Cat as the four, which he's done before with Rudy Gobert in Minnesota. So it's not something that he's foreign to. And I think that's something the Knicks wanted to try and do earlier in the season before the obviously the injury and all that. They think that's what they were going to do. And I asked the question, who's coming off the bench if that's the case? Like I really don't think they will do that just because of chemistry. But honestly, best for the team, I think Mitrov should start. And I think maybe someone like Josh Hart can go to the bench and he can come off the bench, be a six man, because the bench doesn't really have that spark that they did last year. And I think he could provide that for them. And just because he's coming off the bench does not mean he can't play more than 30 minutes a game. Trust me, he'll be in there. He will be in there more than that because he's that type of player. But it's also how much he's meant to the starting lineup. You have to ask, okay, so do we take him out of the starting lineup and that do it all type of guy is not in there anymore? I think that it could be Josh Hart, but my personal opinion, OG Anunoby will also be in the lineup. And I think Mikal Bridges could be the guy that comes off the bench just because of the way he can score. I mean, I don't know. Like you look back, we traded 5 first-round picks for a six-man. I don't really know if you would agree with that, but I think it's something where people have to swallow the pride and ego a little bit. And if you want to go and win that championship that you're set out for, the starting five right now is not going to do that. We've seen that they're 0-7 against the Cavaliers, Celtics, and Thunder, and those three teams are the top teams in the league. Of course, the Thunder are number one in the West, and the Cavs are one in the East, and the Celtics are two. So those are the two teams ahead of the Knicks in the East, and now, of course, they would have to get through those to even have a chance at someone like the Thunder if they were to make it that far. So I think that the Knicks need to do what they need to do is swallow that pride and ego, and they need to go out there and talk to have meetings and be like, who's most comfortable coming off the bench? I know Josh Hart would be the guy to raise his hand for that, but I think the way that starting lineup is constructed, it may not work that way. But also, you're putting Mitch Rob in, and say you're taking someone like Mikal Bridges out, the shooting is not as good, and maybe Mikal Bridges could shoot and have better looks if Mitch Rob's in. So those are the things you need to juggle all of that. But I think you need one of those, either Mikal Bridges or Josh Hart, to be your sixth man off the bench, just so it gives those other guys on the bench something to, they play quick pace. I feel like they go in there that the pace isn't really too great. Campaign's hit or miss. Deuce McBride has been hit or miss. Preston Achiuwa is a big man, so he can't be counted on to be a spark plug. I mean, he does his job really, really well, but he can't be that guy to be like, oh, he's gonna take the ball up the court, find someone for an easy shot, and move it on and get it going, get it going. We don't know. So I think that's fascinating to see. Honestly, for the beginning of when Mitchell Rob comes back, I think that he will be off the bench just because he won't be able to play starters minutes. But I think as we get closer to playoff time, that could be something that very easily changes. Last game against Philly, they beat them, but they had a big lead, almost blew it. Thank God they didn't. Cat was out, so Brunson had to take over. He had over 30 points. He did a great job. It seems like a little something was off, though. I think just because they struggled the last two games, they didn't want to, like, they played a little tight, and we saw that in the second half. First half, they looked all right. Second half, they kind of played a little tight and didn't want to blow another or have a shot at blowing another lead. I mean, the last two games they didn't start out great, but they didn't want to blow a lead and lose the third straight. So that's good to see. They got that win, got back on the win column, and hopefully this weekend, 2 games on the road against Memphis and the Heat. Like I said before, go in there, win both of those, and then you're at 40-20 when you got Steph Curry come to the Garden next week, and that's a good spot to be at, especially with Mitchell Robinson coming back. Everyone getting into their specific roles once again, and then it's go time. If you get once you're 60 games in, you don't got many left in the regular season. About 22 games left, and then playoff time. So this is when you want to play your best, and I think that's the case. Because I know a lot of people overreacting. I'm not overreacting. I think they'd be okay. They have a lot of talent, and it does not mean if you can't beat a team in a regular season, does not mean you can't beat them in the postseason. Right behind me, these Mets right here. I know it was a long time ago in 2015 when they made the World Series, but that year they didn't beat the Cubs one time in the regular season, and they swept them in the playoffs. It can very easily happen to anybody, so that's really, really good. Good news. I say we got to stay positive, Knicks fans. Listen, we've enjoyed the success of the last 2 or 3 of the last 4 years, and now this year as well. Tibbs is doing a great job. If they don't win the championship this year, I think they still go out there and make another move. But enjoy what we have right now. They're a great team. They're almost winning twice as many games as they're losing. So we really cannot complain about that. We got to just relax, take a deep breath, and everything will be all right. With that being said, we can complain a little bit about the Rangers just because of what they were supposed to be after last year. But right now they're at 29, 25, and 4 with 62 points on the year. And despite not really, honestly, I think they play terrible the whole season. Even the games they win, they don't really look great. Besides the other night, they spanked the Islanders pretty good. But I really don't think they've played good all year. I think Igor saved them some games, and the offense has saved him some games. I don't know how many complete offensive and defensive games they've had so far this year. I know it sounds like I'm a whiner, but it's the truth. I really don't think they play good at all this year. But despite all of that, guys, they are only 2 points out of a wild card spot. They are right in the mix. I did not think this would be the case, but they are. They're in there, and I can't complain now, right? I mean, they're going to give us somewhat of playoff type hockey the rest of the year. They can't afford to slip up too much. I think they won't. I don't think they will, but that's good. 2-1 since the break. The first game out of the break against Buffalo was embarrassing. I mean, they gave up 5 goals in the first period. I was like, oh, they mailed it in. Second half of the year's over. Let's worry about next year. But 2-1 since the break. And this is when I want to talk about the Four Nations really quick. I think it was a huge success. Other sports should learn from this, just of how you can make stuff happen, even if cause people are over certain things at the All Star break. I know with the NBA, I mean, I was one personally. I didn't like what was. I think it was terrible. So I think that hockey set the precedent. Like we can do different things to make our league uh, great during the break instead of having fans just tune us out for a week and a half or a week or whatever the case is. So that's good. Hockey is at its highest peak right now. Uh, I think that it's going to be a good finish, especially for the Rangers. They have winnable games coming up. I think that honestly, if you think about this though, I know Fox, and I was going to get into this. Adam Fox, injured now, so he'll be out for a little bit. He got placed in the IR, but with hockey, the IR is a little different. And Keandre Miller, another guy, he had to leave the game against the Islanders, so they lost two really good defensemen. I think they'll be fine though. Even if they're out for a little bit, they have enough guys to pick up the slack. I know they get outshot a lot, so I don't really think it matters anyway who the hell's back there playing defense because it seems that they make tons of mistakes anyway. So I don't think that really matters. But like I was saying, this is a team that can beat anybody on any night, and they just, like I said, they haven't showed it. If they can do that, they are be in a good spot. Like I wouldn't be shocked if they made the playoffs as the last seed and they got all the way to the Stanley Cup. Like I would not be shocked by that because of who they have on the team. Next, I wanted to talk about JT Miller, who was on the Team USA for the Four Nations, so he really didn't get a break at all. To be honest, he had like a day off just before they played the first game after the All Star festivities and all that good stuff. But JT Miller has had 9 points in his Rangers second go around, if you want to call it, or I was going to say do over. But yeah, he's playing really, really good. I think he's been a godsend for this team in general. They haven't, I don't know, after Truba wasn't really a true captain to me anyway, but they got rid of him. Kreider's been in a little bit of the doghouse of Laviolette. Laviolette's kind of threw him on the side, right? Like I said, in the doghouse. So he hasn't really done much performance wise. So I think his leadership has kind of dipped a little bit because he hasn't really had the confidence to tell other guys how to play and act if he's not playing great. Which I think you still need to, as a leader, you need to be able to put your face up every day and be like speak up in front of the guys despite your performance. But I don't think Kreider's that type of guy. So Miller has been a really, really good leader for them first. I mean, without the play, he's been just terrific. Just the way his presence being there. And then, of course, his play as well has been good. And he's elevated Zibanejad. Zibanejad not playing center as much, which I think is beneficial for him. That I think there was too much worrying about faceoffs and all that stuff. Now he could play on the wing, pressure's off you a little bit. And you got a guy like Miller playing alongside you. You shouldn't have any issues and they're showing it right now. Zibanejad's point production with Miller he has more points playing with Miller than Miller has himself. So that's good, really, really good, encouraging signs that I think they can keep building and building and building. And listen, I know like I ripped them a bunch of times. They haven't played their best hockey, but if you're not playing your best hockey in the beginning of the year, that doesn't matter. If you can play it by your best by the end of the year, that's when you'll be in a good spot. And I think that's exactly what the Rangers can do, and I believe they will. Hopefully, every week when I come on here, or every 2 weeks, whatever it is, I talk about these guys. I hope they're getting in the playoffs. I hope they're climbing up the standings. And I know the Devils aren't playing too great right now, so that's a team that's in third place that they can go and catch, if that's their goal and they want to do it. So I think they'll be okay with that. And I'm excited though. I'm excited for both the Knicks and the Rangers, the pro teams, of course, coming into postseason play. It's within reach. It's almost there. Month or two from now, we'll be talking about that. But let's go to the college circuit and talk about another team that plays most of their home games in the Madison Square Garden, the world's most famous arena now. That's because of how good they've played, and that's St. John's Red Storm. Number 7 in the country right now, the highest they've been in. I don't even know how long. It was definitely before I was born. I'll tell you that. Uh, they've been outstanding all year. I mean, when you're 25-4 overall, and the 4 losses you have are within, I think it might be like 6 points or less in each one. It's something crazy like that. And 16-2 in the Big East. They lost 2 Big East games on the road where they didn't play too great, and they still almost won. They lost to Creighton and Villanova. So Creighton's a really good team. That Villanova's maybe their only bad loss of the year, and I still think Villanova is extremely competitive. But they did clinch a share of the Big East regular season title after their last win against Butler the other night. So that's really, really good and encouraging. First time they've done that, also in a long time. So they're setting a lot of records this year that haven't been, or just accomplishments or achievements, if you want to say, in a very long time. So all St. John's fans should be so happy, and they have a chance, I had two words at once right there, a chance at clinching the Big East regular season title all by themselves if they can beat Seton Hall on Saturday, who they've beaten already this year, and they beat them up pretty good at Seton Hall. So now they have a chance of doing it at the Garden, clinching that regular season title, getting the 1 seed in the Big East tournament, and setting themselves up for a um, a nice little Big East tournament run. Regardless if they don't win that or not, they'll still be in the tournament just for how good their regular season was. But I think they'll set themselves up really good for that. They get that 1 seed, then that next game should be very winnable, depending on who they play. But it shouldn't be anyone crazy. It should be. I'm pretty sure it would be the lower seeds. I forget exactly what it is, but it would definitely be a lower seed for that game at least. And then they would only have to win one more after that to get to the Big East championship. I think is very possible. I'm really hoping I can get to go to that game. Just hopefully everything breaks the right way, and if they win Saturday, get it to look into tickets right away and support the team. Maybe we'll do a little bit of a video over there if we get to go. But we'll see what happens with that. But like I said, 2 games left. Seton Hall Saturday, then they have the entire week off, and then they get Marquette the next Saturday, and then it would be the Big East tournament just a few days after that. So I think Saturday they win. I think they'll win that game easily. I don't think they'll have any trouble. And if they do, if it's close, I think they'll still win. That's just in their DNA. All year they play close games and they come out with the wins. And then it's a nice little week break where I think they should take a 2 days off, relax, get the bodies going in the right direction, especially my next point was going to be they only have 10 healthy bodies left, and one doesn't play. So like he's kind of just on the team. So they really only have 9 guys that would play, and they trust maybe 6 to 7 of them. So I think they need to make sure they keep these guys that they do trust healthy, because you lost 3 guys already for season-ending injuries and you're not getting them back. So they need to make sure they can get through the rest of this year unscathed, because you don't want to be going into postseason play with 6 guys. It's just not going to work. They need to make sure that's not an issue. Davion Smith's finally fully healthy. Lewis was a little banged up, but he's good to go now. He played the last 2 games. He's played great. And Kadari Richmond as well. He has he pulls both of his groins, which I've never heard of in my life, but he did. And he's a little banged up, but he's getting through it. So that's why that week off can be good for them. And then finish strong against Marquette, who's a quality team. Keep building the resume even more than you have to at this point. They're projected within that 2, 3, 4 seed range. I think they're getting a little disrespected. If you're number 7 in the country, I think you should not be any lower than the 3 seed. That's just my opinion. But I honestly, you should be a 2 seed. But if you want to give them the benefit of the doubt, those people that do projections, 3 seed should be the lowest they're at. Any 4 seed projections I think is just disrespectful. And I think that they're getting disrespected across the country, despite being 25-4 by everyone else but the people that are ranking them number 7 right now. I think there. I've seen a lot of people, media people. I mean, I can be considered media people too now because I got my own podcast. But the professional media people, talking about how St. John's is one of those teams that is very capable of losing in the first round. I think is just really disrespectful. And those people have not watched this team the entire season, because they can hang in there with anybody. They can win a close game if they have to, which they've done a lot of. They can win a blowout if they have to. If they're losing and playing terribly in the first half, they're able to come back. That's a makeup of a championship team. I'm not saying they're going to win the whole thing, but I think they're very capable of making it into the past the second weekend of the NCAA tournament. So I think that's a success if they're able to do that. And I think it's very possible. So I think the disrespect is a little too much, and hopefully they are able to get a 2 seed, because that would be huge. Put them at the other side of the bracket from any of the 1 seeds, and they set themselves up for a very successful ending. But also one other thing, another accomplishment you can add to the books for them: if they win Saturday afternoon, they will finish the regular season undefeated at home, 18-0. So 18 of their would be 26 wins so far at home. Have played great either at Carnesecca or MSG, and they played a lot of MSG games lately, and they're showing it's their home court. The crowd going crazy every night. Even at Carnesecca they were as well. But glad to see MSG. If you think about that 3 years ago, that's not the case. They don't get that many people to show up. So very, very happy about that. I'm gonna wrap this one up quick here. I just want to thank everyone for supporting the Instagram and TikTok pages. Hopefully, we can get those YouTube videos up. View the whole episode. We got a lot of good things that we talk about. Next week will be definitely reaction of the Jets in sense of the combine, like what they can do and who looked really really good for them. That's very important to talk about. Also, I think we'll do a Rangers Knicks St. John's episode. Probably not St. John's included because they don't have a game till next weekend, and I will be away for spring break. So I kind of want to put one out there um, before I go away. So hopefully that's I can do that. We'll plan it out. Maybe we'll do like a Monday Jets episode and then like a Thursday Knicks and Rangers episode, depending on how the weekend goes. Any good news happens. If not, we can just wait. Also, those bullpen reviews, hopefully this weekend. If not this weekend, next weekend, we'll get after that and post those for you guys. I want to thank everyone once again, and that's episode 22. JD is out.